Hey, you kids keep it down there.
You're not the boss of me. A sample of the disarming humor of Rick Mercer. Every prime minister, even prime ministers, were his good-natured foil. After 15 years as the host of Rick Mercer Report on CBC Television, he has announced today this will be his final season, and that means tomorrow's season launch is the beginning of the end for the much-decorated series. You happy to be here after that introduction?
I am happy to be here, yes. I'm always happy to be here, Andrew. Yes, of course.
So, okay, 15 years,
yes.
And it's the same team. You've been there from the beginning. It's the same team.
It is almost unheard of. Not only is the length of the show almost unheard of, it's the same director, it's the same road director, it's the same DOP, it's writers that I've worked with forever. The creative team has relatively remained unchanged, which is, you know, it's a special thing.
Okay, you know, this is new for me.
What are you doing?
I'm getting viewer
are you on
questions.
Facebook?
Yes, I'm on. We're doing a
As we
Facebook
talk,
Live
you're
or
on
something,
Facebook?
something like that. Yes.
I see. You're going to take.
Yeah. What are Rick's plans for the future? A YouTube viewer asks, "What are Rick's?"
You're on YouTube.
I don't know. We're everywhere.
This is good. We're cutting edge is where we are.
What are Rick's plans for the future?
I don't know is the short answer. I've always wanted to work in TV. It's when I was a kid, I used to think if anyone wanted to be a firefighter or something, I'd be like, why? When there's TV, you could be in TV. I don't feel that way now exactly, but I just always wanted to be there. And then when I was on TV, I wanted my own show, and I've got that, and I've had it for a while. And if you asked me now to describe my dream TV job, it would be the job I have right now. So as far as what's next, I don't know.
You said something about. So this, and I'm going to, Paula Walsh asks, can you please come and do your final show in St. John's? And I heard that you might be spending more time in Newfoundland and Labrador. So what does that mean?
I'm a Newfoundlander, and every Newfoundlander who ever went away to work, I mean, they only ever have one goal from the day they leave, and that's to get home out of it. So hopefully I will be spending more time there. The show doesn't travel. I mean, the show it's been very nice. People have invited us to travel, like the desk and the studio and that whole thing, many times before. We've never done it because the desk is heavy and I don't want it. I can't be at that.
You're so strong. I mean, you're strong.
You know, the show travels all over the country nonstop as it is, so I don't need to bring the desk with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Thank you for that question. On the social media.
It's really small, so I have to get right down and close.
Do you need my glasses?
Ken Rideout, too. No, I think I can do it. Ken Rideout asks, who's your favorite comedian?
Who's my favorite comedian? Oh, there's so many favorite comedians. I mean, the comedians that got me into the business, they were Greg Malone and Tommy Sexton, and they were the ones who I watched on TV and said, why would anyone want to do anything else? Look, you could be on TV. So that's my short answer.
All right. I'm going to get back to these questions, but I want to ask you something a little unconventional. You know what I want from you? I'm sure.
Send me a message on my Facebook, and I'll check it on my phone, and that will be the first.
I want to hear. I'm sure you've been following this controversy between the President of the United States and the NFL players over kneeling.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little
mini
rant?
What's most disturbing about that is this is such a simple concept, and I would expect that every single American would understand that this is silent protest, this is protected protest, this has been around as long as the United States has been around, and they should understand that. And I would have thought that you would not be able to convince people that this was a bad thing, and clearly now there are people who think that, and it's one of the most disturbing developments I've ever seen in my entire life, quite frankly. Watching the president make these statements about these players, I don't see how. I mean, it's creating a division in the country that I can't see solving itself in the near future, and it's very upsetting. I've covered politics in Canada almost my entire life, and I've never felt that way about Canadian politics. I've certainly been angry, and I've certainly seen absurd things and stupid things and things that have, just I thought were laughable, but I've never felt despair when looking at Canadian politics, and that's the way I feel when I'm watching the news today, quite frankly.
Okay, that was good, right off and that was unexpected.
It's all written down over there. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know.
It's on the prompter. No, it is not. Tamara Zakari asks, will you run for political office or become a watchdog?
No.
That's it.
I'd like to say no. No, I have less interest in political office now than I ever did, and I've always found it kind of intriguing when I was a kid. Kind of in that way that, if you're a baseball fan, I think, or you write about baseball, people always think, one of these days they're just going to call me and ask me to be the general manager of the team because clearly I know more than any of them. So you think, yeah, maybe, but no. It's party politics is not for me.
Tara Dunphy asks, who was your favorite guest? Jann Arden. I mean, you guys...
Was that it? Who was your favorite guest?
Jann Arden, question mark.
Oh, yeah, Jann, certainly.
The CN Tower, that edge walk.
Yeah, and Jann has probably been on the show more than anyone. And that was just a surprise. One day, I just needed a guest, and I said, I'll call Jann Arden. I didn't know what she was going to be like. And since then, she's always come back on. There's a demand for her. People love her. I love her. And that's been one of the nice things that's come about as a result of the show, that friendship. Yeah, so she's up there.
You've sort of answered some of this question, but Edward Campbell asks, what do you think of Rocket Man and Orange Man?
Well, I guess we've kind of covered that. I don't think a lot.
Rocket Man?
Well,
Kim Jong?
He's a mad person.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, what else are you going to say?
Let's see here. Okay, I got that. All right, okay.
Yes.
The legacy. I know you actually hate that question, but you got to ask that question.
Yeah.
The legacy of Rick Mercer Report.
I never knew that we had a philosophy until a couple of years into the show. A writer who I always wanted to work with, the opportunity came along for him to work on the show. And then in the meeting where I was asking him to come work on the show, he said, what is your philosophy? What is the show's philosophy? And I was like, I don't know, philosophy. But then I thought about it, and I thought, well, our philosophy is, we don't crap on Thunder Bay. If we go to Thunder Bay, we go to celebrate Thunder Bay, and it's the best place on earth. And we're going to find the people there, and whatever it is they're doing, the people who invited me there, we're there to celebrate. And that is our legacy. That's what we do wherever we go, and it doesn't come natural to comedians to celebrate. The natural instinct of a comedian is to tear down, to destroy, to mock and deride and make fun of. And I get that, but that's not our act. That's not what we do. If we come to your town, we're there to celebrate. End of story. That's what the show has always been about.
So finally, I have to ask you, this probably should have been the first question if I've been following a proper arc. Why? Why is this it?
I don't know. I don't really have a correct answer for that. I always thought that the show would end it would have less to do with me. I mean, TV shows usually end badly. Usually you come in and suddenly your pass doesn't work and they're escorting you out with your boxes.
Building?
Yeah, of course. I've always admired people who've managed to step off stage on their own terms, and I've always wanted to do that, but I kind of thought the decision would be made for me. I thought maybe I would stop enjoying it, or maybe we'd run out of stories, or maybe the viewers would go away, but none of those things have happened. So it's bittersweet that way. In some ways, I feel like I could go forever, but TV doesn't work that way. You have to get off stage eventually, at least for a little while.
Rick, well, it is always a pleasure having you come and talk about this. Good luck with this last season.
Thank you. And thank you to your followers on this World Wide Web.
There were lots of them.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm feeling very modern. Rick Mercer with me in the studio, and goodbye. And thank you to Facebook, YouTube, everybody. I guess that somehow that all worked. That was a first for me. Tune in to the Rick Mercer Report Tuesday at 8 p.m. on CBC Television, 8:30 in Newfoundland.